Welcome on behalf of Snapshots Music and Arts Foundation. I'd like to welcome you to the second half of our program tonight, a conversation with the remarkable Gustavo Romero and the equally remarkable filmmaker, Jonathan Buehle. A little bit later, before we wrap it up, we'll have time for some questions of the audience. If you'd like to ask Gustavo or Jonathan a question, please feel free to do that. And afterwards, they'll be in the front of the stage on the stage apron you can come up and say hello. But we thought we'd just kind of talk about the film. My name is Michael Crowell. I am host of KSDS Jazz 88.3's Off-Ramp Show. Jonathan asked me to come and help them out here tonight. So let's get rolling. You guys ready?
Yeah.
We are, Michael.
Gustavo, let's talk a little bit about your involvement. How did that come about?
Is this working?
Yeah, you're
okay,
on.
Great. How did it all come about?
How did you get involved in this project?
Well, actually, I just got a notification from Carmen Duval, my manager. And out of the blue, I got this email, and she says, Snapshots Foundation wants to do a documentary on you. And I didn't know Jonathan, and I'd never heard about Snapshots Foundation. And I just thought, wow, it's an incredible opportunity.
Jonathan, give him a quick synopsis of what your organization is about.
Quick primer is we're a local music and arts nonprofit, and our mission is to capture, preserve the history of innovative musicians and their music on film. So film is the medium that we embrace to capture the life history of artists like Gustavo. And it's something we've been able to do with Stephen Schick, Holly Hoffman, Anushka Shankar, a wide variety of people. But all these artists have one thing in common. It's not just their technical talent, it's their artistry and their sound is unlike anyone else. They're very unique people.
This took over 2 years to make, and it started in 2010, the year of the Chopin anniversary. And so after those 4 Chopin recitals, every Monday I was in this hall playing through from 10 a.m. till about 1 or 2.
4-hour sessions or more.
Yes, 4 hours of just pieces that I had played the Sunday before. And at the end of that summer, we had our first interview. And how many hours was that?
It was quite a marathon. we would 2.5 hours.
And none of it was used. Because I had no connection to Jonathan. We were just getting to know each other. And it didn't go anywhere. There wasn't any connection. So we went to a Mexican restaurant and had wonderful food.
Which always helps.
Here in San Diego. And it took a while to create a connection. And that's so important because I've already experienced that so many times. Just so you know, when I recorded the 5 Beethoven piano concertos, I had never played with that conductor. I had never played with that orchestra. I had never been in that particular hall in England. And in 1 week, in 5 days, we were just put together and we recorded the 5 concertos. It was put on a CD and it was released, and it really doesn't have anything to do with a relationship to the music that you created. But this is how things are now. They have to be done instantly and put together and in the studios. And so we were lucky to have 1 more year after that because...
Carmen said, what's your deadline for this? I said, there is no deadline because I don't think it's appropriate, and if you have this luxury, it's very nice, but I don't think it's appropriate to push things out unless you're really going to be proud of it for a long time. So we had that luxury, and and we also connected through someone that is part of Gustavo's history, Juilliard professor David Duval, who I interviewed in 2010.
A very inspiring man. Both Jonathan and I are some of his greatest fans, and I'm thrilled to continue to have a relationship with him and to be very inspired by whenever he has anything to say. And I'm just very fortunate that he agreed to be in this film, and I highly respect his opinion because he continues to be one of the most authoritative musicians and writers on the piano. And he's written Evenings with Horowitz and The Art of the Piano, so when he opens his mouth, it means a lot.
David was one of a very few select people that Horowitz would pick up the phone and call and invite him over to his home. And so, hence Evenings with Horowitz, but he had that kind of relationship with pianists. And the last interview that Glenn Gould gave was to David. So that just gives you a sense of David. But we connected a lot more, and then, when you do this, and I conducted the interviews, you always walk a line of the personal, the too personal, the being too distant. It's a balance, and people that really appreciate the interview process can take more out of it. So you're trying to do that.
This is clearly a collaboration between the two of you on this film. How did you work that out?
Well, any collaboration just actually happens as you're going through the steps. As I said, the first year was just the basic footage, and I was very happy also to suggest injecting New York into it, because I left San Diego when I was 14, so New York is a big part of my psyche and my past.
These were filmed in several halls, as we've already noted. What's the difference? What kind of sound do you get out of these different halls? How does the neurosciences compare to other places, and what do you get out?
Well, see, that was also very exciting. Suddenly, out of the blue, we were given access to Copley. Just by sheer accident, I don't even recall, I had to try pianos for...
You had extra time for
Yes, I had to play with the youth orchestra, and I was given time to try pianos and choose a piano. And they said, well, you can have the whole day. There's no concerts happening there. So I immediately called up Jonathan and says, can you imagine we have Copley available to us? We must use this hall. And so that was completely spontaneous, and it was a great pleasure to play in empty Copley and to record there. But the majority of the footage was here, and that was comfortable because I had always played the day before. And then we went to the Jacobses, which is a very special hall within a home. And they all have their different energies and their different strengths and weaknesses. I'm very grateful that I have a long history here, 13 years, because of the Athenaeum and the festival here, that I feel a certain connection to this hall. But they all have their quirks and their challenges. But the Copley was just incredible to have that space all to ourselves.
Filming there must be amazing.
Oh, it's so beautiful. Copley has a character to it. You can almost feel the history. But Paul Hall was nice too.
Oh yes, at Juilliard.
Yeah.
We didn't use any of the footage from there.
No.
See, that's the thing. It's like making a recording. You spend hours playing and giving things to work with, but like a recording, you don't really know in the end what the producer is going to take from all those hundreds of takes, which material he's going to use and put together. I had hours of music, and you can't imagine. I'm actually glad that I didn't have to choose. And I think Jonathan did a brilliant job, because it's not all the most well-known pieces. In fact, a lot of the pieces here are not mainstream repertoire. So I was very pleased with the choice of music, but it was hours that he had to work with material and things that you naturally have to discard.
What's the plan for these films that you're producing, particularly this one? This is your longest, is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct. This is a feature-length documentary, and what we want to do, and we will be doing very soon, is entering it into different film festivals. And that's something we're very excited about, because through the film festival process, people will be exposed to it that may not initially be aware of it. So we want to get it into as many important festivals as possible. So that's the next step after this, and that's what we'll be doing.
You're going to participate in any marketing of this thing?
I'll do anything to keep this alive. I mean, this is this is such a celebration or culmination of so many years of support and faith from so many of you here. And it's, I hope that in the end it serves as an invitation for somebody who doesn't have any connection to music or to culture to perhaps learn more about what it is to be a pianist or what it is to have something so heady in your life. You know, I have to tell this story. Just yesterday, in the middle of my gym workout, this complete stranger comes up to me. He says, "Didn't I see you on a documentary on Channel 4 of a story that was done? Yeah, you're the concert pianist, aren't you?" I said, "Yes, thank you very much. It's really nice that you recognize it." He said, and then he said, "You know, I started studying the piano because of you." And you know, I found that so touching and so moving, and so I thought, you know, I'll do anything to publicize this because I see that the need for exposure, for exposing the next generation, still we must continue to expose them and to introduce this idea of something beyond the cyber world. So it's just a modest step, and I'm very honored to be showcased in this and to have this opportunity, but it's just one little step, I think, that I can help in keeping classical music alive, keeping it exposed to the next generation, all of that.
I just want to say one thing to what you were saying, Gustavo. I mean, it's something that we're very mindful of, is how are people going to be exposed to great music today? I mean, it's really kind of the big question that everyone is asking. And we feel that film is a vehicle that can travel. It can do things that, you know, the performer can't always, you know, retell their story to every reporter, and so the film can be a good vehicle that can travel all around the world. And, you know, hopefully it will inspire people too. And another thing in putting this film together, if someone didn't know anything about Gustavo or didn't know anything about classical music or the repertoire, I think that it's good that they could not feel that they were insecure about that. They're going to learn about all that and be drawn into it in an inviting way. That's important. So I think we've achieved that.